Dubai Marina used to be the statement you showed the world when you wanted to say, without saying it, that you had arrived. A skyline of glass and steel perfectly mirrored in calm, engineered water. Super yachts lined up with precision like a showroom that never closed. Rooftop lounges overflowing every night. Music echoing between towers. The promenade alive at every hour. That wasn't just a location, it was an identity, a brand carefully built and exported globally. Before we break this down and get into the real story behind Dubai Marina, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay with me. What's happening here is far bigger than it looks on the surface. So why are people walking through Dubai Marina now, describing something completely different? Not calm, not relaxed, but empty. A quiet that feels unfamiliar in a place designed to never slow down. This didn't happen because of a single event. It's the result of multiple pressures colliding at the same time, stacking on top of each other, creating a situation Dubai's tourism machine either didn't anticipate or chose not to fully acknowledge. Start with the unavoidable factor, the regional conflict. In late February 2026, U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran sparked a chain reaction that hit Dubai quickly. Airspace disruptions, widespread flight cancellations, and travel advisories from several Western governments warned citizens to reconsider or avoid traveling to the UAE. Within days, the impact was visible. Hotel bookings didn't just decline, they dropped sharply, in some cases by more than half. Thousands of flights were disrupted daily, a significant portion canceled outright. This wasn't a slowdown, it was a sudden break in the system. Dubai's tourism model depends heavily on constant global connectivity, one of the most connected cities in the world by air traffic. When that network is interrupted, even briefly, the effects cascade across every sector tied to tourism. Hotels that were operating near full capacity a week earlier suddenly struggled to fill rooms. Occupancy rates, strong at the start of 2026, fell rapidly. Some properties reported operating at a fraction of their usual levels. Pricing followed demand. Discounts appeared, packages expanded, and luxury properties that rarely needed incentives started offering them aggressively to maintain occupancy. Airlines, including the UAE's flagship carrier, cut routes, reduced frequencies, and recovery was gradual rather than immediate. Why does this matter more than it might seem? Dubai's entire economic model, especially in neighborhoods like Dubai Marina, is built on the assumption that people can arrive easily, frequently, and in large numbers. When that assumption weakens, everything constructed on top of it becomes vulnerable. Zoom out, and the scale becomes clearer. Regional tourism projections for 2026 have already been revised downward, with millions fewer visitors expected compared to earlier forecasts. That translates into tens of billions of dollars in lost tourism spending across the Middle East. In the UAE, tourism isn't a side industry. It's a core pillar of the economy, contributing a significant share of GDP and supporting hundreds of thousands of jobs. Those jobs aren't abstract. They're restaurant staff, hotel workers, yacht crews, drivers, tour operators, many expatriates who moved to Dubai for opportunity. When visitor numbers drop, the impact is immediate and personal. Reduced hours, lower tips, job uncertainty. Walk through Dubai Marina today, and you can start to see those ripples. Outdoor dining areas that once required reservations now have empty tables. The Marina Walk, once defined by constant movement, feels slower. JBR's beachfront, known for its energy, shows visible gaps. Not deserted, but noticeably different. The contrast is subtle in some moments and striking in others, but here's where the story gets more complex. The conflict exposed weaknesses that already existed. Long before any geopolitical tension, underlying pressures were building. On paper, everything looked strong. Record-breaking tourism, rising revenue, positive headlines. Beneath those numbers, a different reality was developing. Infrastructure strain was becoming more visible. Traffic congestion worsened year over year. Commute times lengthened. Even voices inside the country began publicly acknowledging the issue, calling for immediate and long-term solutions. At the same time, the the cost of living rose steadily. Rental prices surged across key districts, including Dubai Marina. Apartments that were once accessible to mid-level professionals became unaffordable. Studios, one-bedroom units, even shared spaces saw substantial increases. That shift forced the very people who gave Dubai Marina its energy, young professionals, mid-income expats, service workers, to move out, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. They relocated to more affordable areas, often farther from the city center, adding longer commutes to already clogged roads. What remained was a neighborhood becoming increasingly exclusive, yet more dependent on short-term visitors rather than long-term residents. There's an irony. The tourism boom that helped define Dubai Marina also reshaped it in ways that made it less stable. As demand increased, prices followed. As prices rose, the community that sustained the area's daily life thinned out. Then another layer, safety concerns. High-rise living is central to the marina's identity. Repeated fire incidents over the years have raised questions not just about isolated events, but about patterns. Evacuations involving thousands of residents, delayed alarms, and the challenges of managing emergencies in dense vertical environments have all contributed to a growing awareness that even highly modern developments carry risks. The aftermath, displacement, temporary housing, uncertainty, shapes how residents perceive stability. Combine all of this, a sudden external shock that disrupts tourism flows, a cost structure that already pushed out a portion of the resident base, infrastructure under pressure, safety concerns lingering in the background. You get not a single cause, but a convergence of stress points hitting at the same time. Looking forward, projections suggest Dubai's reliance on tourism will only grow. Visitor-to-resident ratios are expected to increase significantly in the coming years. Other global cities have faced similar trajectories, and some saw mixed results when visitor numbers outpaced infrastructure and local capacity. Maintaining balance becomes harder. Dubai's leadership is aware of these dynamics. The real question is timing. Were adjustments made early enough, or are they now being tested under less than ideal conditions? So what happens next? Does this mean Dubai Marina is in permanent decline? No. That would be an oversimplification. Dubai has shown resilience multiple times: financial crisis, global pandemics, regional instability. It has resources, experience, and a strong incentive to adapt quickly. Tourism demand historically tends to return once stability improves. Flights resume, confidence rebuilds, visitors come back. That pattern is well established. But recovery isn't just about numbers. It's about quality, experience, and sustainability. It's about whether the underlying issues that were quietly building over the years get properly addressed or simply masked by a temporary surge of returning tourists. Affordability, infrastructure strain, high-rise safety standards, traffic congestion, environmental pressures, and long-term livability are not problems that magically disappear once flights resume and hotels fill up again. They require deliberate decisions by planners, regulators, and stakeholders, often involving politically and economically difficult trade-offs. There's an irony at the heart of the marina's story. The version people fell in love with wasn't just shiny skyscrapers or luxury yachts. It wasn't merely Instagram-ready architecture or carefully designed facades. It was a feeling, a unique energy and rhythm created by the mix of people who lived, worked, and spent leisure time along the promenades. That atmosphere depends on a balance: visitors versus residents, temporary excitement versus stable community life, unchecked growth versus sustainable urban planning. Without that balance, the marina risks losing the intangible elements that made it magnetic. The deeper question isn't whether Dubai Marina will become busy again. On some level, it almost certainly will, because Dubai has the infrastructure, reputation, and appeal to draw crowds back. The real question is what version returns: the vibrant, cosmopolitan, lively energy that made people fall in love with it, or a more expensive, more controlled, perhaps sanitized version where luxury exists but the buzz, spontaneity, and human element that gave it soul are diminished? The answer is still unfolding, and it depends on choices being made right now behind the scenes, in government offices and boardrooms. If you've been to Dubai Marina recently, what did you actually notice? Did it feel different than before, quieter, or less energetic? Or do you think all this concern is overblown? Share your perspective in the comments, because real insight comes from those who walk these streets and live this reality. And if you want more in-depth, reality-focused breakdowns like this one, stories that go beyond glossy photos and marketing hype, you already know what to do. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next deep dive into the real Dubai.